7 years ago, the headphone jack was cruelly torn away from us. Guardian angels had promised its safety until they didn't. The headphone jack must return. And look, I'm not talking about the flagship phones. If you can spend $1,000 plus on a phone, God bless you. You can afford tossing a couple hundred extra on some AirPods Buds Pro. I'm talking about something far more sinister. The headphone jacks are disappearing in the mid-range and budget devices like the Redmi Note series, Pixel A series, Galaxy 54. They're gone.
You dumb mother...
Why would you remove the headphone jack on phones bought primarily by YouTubers who want to pretend to be poor and actually poor people who can't or really shouldn't waste money on wireless buds? Yes, I know there are cheap ones out there like those goddamn freaking those TWS AirPod knockoffs. Quality sucks major squirrel crock. They only last for like 6 months before they run into all kinds of battery and connectivity issues and eventually turn into a vegetable. It probably isn't a good idea to wear cheap knockoff unregulated batteries and radio antennas that get really warm that are literally going inside of your head. God knows what kind of health and safety features they skimped out on to get the low price. I would rather untangle wires than, pay for chemo or afterburn care. Speaking of care, if you really care about me, make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you, moving on. If you want a good pair of wireless buds that would easily last a couple of years with zero issues, you need to spend at least $50 to $60. And that's usually 1/3 the price of the phone. Wireless is simply way too expensive for mainstream adoption within cost-conscious consumers and developing countries. The notion that right after the iPhone 7 came out that we all collectively dry-heaved at wires and went completely wireless and everything was all nice and pretty is very much a first-world Western thing. In developing countries, which is the primary demographic for affordable cheap phones, wired is very much commonplace. I hate this idea that we consider wired tech to be objectively worse than wireless, and something we need to move on from. It's not worse, it's just a different form of connectivity with its own set of benefits that wireless may never replicate, such as never having to charge. Imagine that. And yes, you can use the adapters, which eventually they'll stop including, but that's an unnecessary inconvenience. It's not even that we got anything from removing the jack. Cheap phones don't have water resistance, which by the way you don't need to remove the headphone jack for that to happen, and the batteries didn't get any bigger. These companies know that you don't have any choice whatsoever and you have to deal with, because most people aren't going to get the older version so they can have the headphone jack, and there's no point upgrading because those don't have the jack and also don't have chargers involved in them. You can't jump straight to iOS because those iPhone SAs don't have them, so you're trapped. And the companies like that because they know that eventually you will grow tired of having to lug around adapters and losing them and not being able to charge your phone and listen to music at the same time, and eventually you will cave and you will buy one of their wireless earbuds, and now your $300 budget phone costs $370 to get the exact same experience that you got from last year's $300 phone. And next, I guarantee, is going to be the charge. And they're not going to use the environmental BS like Apple did, because they are well aware that people in dire financial straits in crumbling economies could not give less of a flying fuck about some goddamn polar bears. So instead they'll say, well, we need to remove the charger to keep the prices low. Bullcrap. The new chargerless version would have the exact same number of changes as the previous one did, probably less noticeable because opening TikTok and ruining your life can only happen so much faster. And they'll gladly sell the ability to, power the device at an additional price. How nice of them. And here's where I get sad, because most people are probably not going to buy the original chargers because they're so expensive, or they might get tricked into buying fake ones, especially online, and that's going to end up giving them either second-degree burns or destroying their battery health, forcing them to upgrade more often and give the companies even more money. And the companies, they'll get away with all of this because people will assume, it's cheaper, so it makes sense and less stuff in the box and the phones don't last as long, when in reality you're just paying more for less. It's an absolute disgrace. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more quality content, because I'll be covering the entire Apple event, all the good, the bad, the ugly, all the wonderful, useless, overpriced crap that most of us probably don't need. Fun stuff. See you. Bye-bye.